Please don't end it on a bad note. Let's end it positively.
Hey, I really liked it. I thought it was about as good as The Northman.
Oh my god! Oh Lord,
This is a tired day.
Yeah, sorry if we're coming across as a little bit lethargic right now. We ate a lot of meat yesterday. Like went to Texas de Brazil, a steakhouse, stuffed our faces, and low energy right now. But we're gonna fabricate it for you, so don't worry.
Well, honestly, we kind of need a little bit of low energy because after we saw this movie, we were a little heated.
You know,
that was a little heated conversation.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised myself.
Yeah, so I apologize if you clicked on this video and we're looking for both people here to be super positive about it because we're going to get into it, but I did not like this movie one bit.
Yeah,
and Richie likes it.
I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, and let's first give a little spoiler-free overview, and this is going to be real quick. How would you explain The Northman? Trailer-only version.
The movie is based on the story that Hamlet is based on. It's a Norse, Viking story about revenge, conquering fate, killing the man who killed your father. Basic trailer stuff.
Yep, right in the trailer you see the uncle kills the father of the young boy, and it's a big vengeance story of avenging your father, saving your mother, and killing Fjolnir is the uncle's name.
Yeah.
Pretty epic trailer, hands down. That trailer got me so excited, and maybe this affected my review as well. But I was so excited going into the film because that trailer, both of them, I was awestruck by. It was really good. So that's a quick spoiler overview. Do you real quick want to give what was your overall rating? I'll give my rating.
Yeah. And
we have a specific category system. So first, what is your category by category, and then we'll give our overall out of 10 rating of The Northman.
For emotional impact, I gave it an 8. For characters, a 7. Plot, 8 again. Dialogue, 7.5. And cinematography, a 9 for an average score of 7.9.
So 7.9 out of 10, The Northman.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You can click off the video here if you just want to end it positively. So I gave The Northman emotional impact, a 1.5. This is a scale of 10, by the way. Characters, a 0.5. Plot, a 1. Dialogue, a 3.5. Cinematography, an 8.5. For a total score, The Northman is a 3 out of 10. 30% rating. And that's our spoiler-free rating review. We're going to get into it.
Past this point, it's spoilers. I'm not going to be able to really
let's fight. It's time.
Talk about it without spoilers.
Ding, ding, ding. Let's go.
All right. So, so this is your warning. Spoilers from here on out.
Spoilers.
You've been warned. All right, that's enough time.
Okay.
So, that score is so low that it baffles me. Because I can think of so many worse movies than this movie.
Me too.
There's so many.
Yeah.
No, you can't, because you gave it a 0.5 on characters.
On characters,
I can give on emotional impact. You gave it a 1. Really, you didn't find some of it exciting.
1.5.
1 point.
1.5. Decimal 0.5. Yeah. So there were. I'll tell you. How about the positives from me? We'll start with that. The twist with the mother of her not loving the father and like her actually wanting the uncle to kill the son. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the actor Alexander Skarsgård, he's pretty great and stuff. And
by the way, I'm not going to get any of the names for any of the actors or anything.
I made sure to write them down.
I'm not good at names.
But Nicole Kidman's the mother. She plays the mother in this film, and so her twist there, I thought it was interesting. And I like some of the action sequences where, he had the heart, or said, I have the heart, and he was charging down the hill. A couple of those, I was like, oh, cool, where's this going? Or the game that they played, where you had to whack the ball into the stick.
Yeah.
So I was kind of excited about that. But for those who don't know me, I am very character-driven about movies or films, anything that I consume. Characters mean the world to me. And I'm interested to see your take in this because I thought it was completely void of any characters that I cared one bit about. I watched from start to finish this film, not even caring about the outcome.
I'll be honest, it really does depend on the film. Some films are character focused, some are more situational or plot. The reason why I enjoyed the movie is how unapologetically Viking it was. Like you get some Viking media, like it's honestly, I think, kind of small. Like there's a couple TV shows, but it's not a big. It's not really delved into in modern media. And when it is, it's pretty westernized. Like it's modernized, I guess, not westernized. And you see Vikings with like strong moral ethic, and they're actually like a good. They're a hero. They're like the protagonist, or you see far more of a bastardization of the Viking culture, where like the Vikings were wiped out because of their culture. Like they were such a brutal honor centered society that they basically killed each other to death. Like they wiped each other out. Nobody was good people. Nobody. They all sucked by our standards. And so what I got from the Northman was a far more historically accurate interpretation of Vikings and more Viking mythology. So I love the mysticism and just this focus on the character being an animal. Not even a human, he's an animal. And the story is him conquering fate, choosing fate, and basically becoming a man. That's what I got out of it.
Okay.
I liked how brutal it was, and I was just kind of engrossed with the whole world and what these characters were doing.
The one thing we'll both agree on in this review is the cinematography was really good. I mean, it had some great practical effects, too. Like, I can remember the scene with, I hope it was practical effects because it looked like it. It was really good. But the intestines just coming out after he slashed them. You have some cool visuals. The last final fight scene where it's the gates of hell and the cool backdrops and hills. And I like that. The cinematography is great, but cinematography for me doesn't make a movie. It could look great, but if I don't enjoy it, there's going to be other problems with it.
Wouldn't you have to agree that there's not just like one way for a movie to like grab your attention?
Yeah.
Like it's not just a very enthralling character. It can be an enthralling world or a story being told. I mean, there's plenty of movies out there, and like honestly, Shakespeare, like some of his stories are more character focused, like Macbeth. Macbeth is like it's all about Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. But Hamlet, I guess a bit more than this movie, but it's definitely more about revenge and what that does to somebody and what that does to anybody. There are stories which is far more of a self-insert story. Yeah. You're not supposed to empathize with the character per se. We were talking before about Dunkirk. On the reason why Dunkirk's a good movie, and I think a really good war movie, is it doesn't focus on a soldier. It focuses on the army and the people as a general group. It's not as individual focused.
So I'm gonna discredit myself even more to the viewer here. I also didn't like Dunkirk. So I am very character driven when it comes to movies, but the difference I thought Dunkirk was all right.
But you understand how that kind of like pigeonholes you into a if that's the only way you can enjoy a movie. No, like, there's other artistics like Fantasia is wonderful. It's not a character-driven movie. It's more artistically speaking.
I can enjoy Dunkirk way more than I enjoyed The Northman. The Northman, to me, is the worst movie I've seen since we've been reviewing movies. Like we have a review system that we've been doing for a couple of years. I've not rated anything lower since The Northman. It's that bad to me. And it's not just the characters. It's my emotion toward the movie of whether I'm enjoying it and also the plot. And the world building around it, I didn't think did it any favors. So the very first hint I got that I wasn't going to enjoy this movie is as soon as I saw the barking scene where the father burps and then the kid just farts and then Willem Dafoe's doing this whole mystical thing, I was instead of me being intrigued or like that being world building to me, I was just taken back like, oh, okay. That's strange.
I'll be honest, that's when the movie actually got me. Like, I
Yeah.
was more interested in the film at that point. I just thought it was really different.
Huh.
I kind of saw where it was going
Yeah.
a little bit of, you think a worse director or a worse story, kind of a watered down version, would be, the father tells the son of, like, you must be honorable, you will avenge my death, and, like, kind of trying to seem regal and honorable, like a noble man.
Yeah.
That's not what the movie gave us. It gave us the polar opposite. Like, not avenge your honorable father. No, you are a wolf. You are an animal, a beast, and you will not let vengeance die. And just this kind of weird twist of, like, okay, that clearly set up, this is not a man, he's an animal. That's what he's focused on. That's what his father's trying to make him be. And clearly it messes with him. Like, he's not well adjusted. He's even in his own group of people.
Yeah.
By the end, his arc is to basically become a man, not beast. And that's what he learns on the whole journey. That's what especially what I got out of it. And especially when he starts off on his journey, he thinks, oh, I have to do this because of fate. And guilt, also. Fate and guilt, as he goes on. And, oh, of course, this is what I have to do because of fate. By the end, it's not fate leading him, it's his choice to choose fate from human manly cause to protect his family. Not just follow him.
What other characters did you enjoy?
I liked the uncle, actually, quite a bit.
Fjolnir?
Yeah, Fjolnir. I liked...
Did you like Nicole Kidman's
the mother.
character?
Oh,
the
yeah.
Mother?
She was interesting. Like, creepy and weird in a way. But I guess the character I liked but wasn't super intrigued with was the blonde-haired woman.
The love interest?
The love interest.
Played by Anya Taylor-Joy.
Very, very beautiful. And I mean, served the role well. Actually, she really acted very well. Like, her emotional scenes.
Believe it or not,
emotional.
you know who I thought acted the best in the entire film was when they were creating the pyre to, after Fjolnir, the uncle's son, died, and they were burying him, the woman who was singing. Do you remember the woman singing?
And then she sacrificed.
And sacrificing herself. And I don't know why, but her being there for a minute, I actually...
Honestly, the acting throughout the movie was very good. And honestly, I came out of that movie kind of looking at going, oh yeah, no wonder the Viking culture just basically wiped itself out.
Didn't work out, yeah.
Like, it is a signature glaring flaw in their people. And that's what I really enjoyed about it. So, and also a little bit of history of, like, oh, it's the story Hamlet's based on.
It made me feel good not to be a Viking and lived around that time. I felt pretty good. Like, good time to live in right now. What else did you enjoy?
Well, I really enjoyed the mysticism aspect.
Okay.
I'm glad it had more of that in there. It just felt, especially because the characters were not as focused on. It wasn't as much of a character struggle and driven story, that it felt like a mythology. It wasn't a movie about Vikings. It was a movie about Viking mythology.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was taken out of a storybook told around a campfire.
Gotcha.
And that's what I liked about it. That was kind of neat and cool to watch.
Okay.
So,
You like the ending too?
yeah, I actually did quite like the ending.
Okay. So it's a good recommendation. You'd say watch it?
Yeah, watch it. It's a fun time. It's a fun experience.
Okay. I see all your point of view there. That's interesting. So pretty positive overall. Viking movie, revenge, cool.
Yeah.
Did it exceed your expectations going in?
No, didn't. If anything, like, my hype for the trailer was, like, I'm hoping this is my 10 out of 10 movie that I'm going to watch every year.
Yeah.
And it's not that movie. I'd watch it again. I enjoyed it.
It's a good movie, not a great movie is what you'd say?
I think it's a really good movie.
Okay.
Again, I gave it 7.9, so that's, don't know exactly what word to use for that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's
on the cusp of very good, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's 8, I'd say, oh, that's solid. But
yeah, it's on the cusp of being, like, great.
Okay.
but it's very good. And
This director,
yeah.
by the way, Robert Eggers. This is, I
Hmm.
think, his third big movie because we haven't seen the other two, which
Yeah,
I
The
guess
Lighthouse, and there's something
The
else.
Witch. I
The
think The
Witch.
Witch was his first in 2015. The Lighthouse came out in 2019, and this is his latest.
He's known
And
for being a weird director.
a weird director, and I'll say this. So Rotten Tomatoes critic scores 89%, and right when it dropped, I remember we saw the audience score
Hmm.
for The Northman was around 80 something percent on Rotten Tomatoes. I just checked today, and today, as of what's today, April 24th,
Hmm.
it's down to 67%. So it's been declining.
Doesn't
Which,
surprise me. It's a weird movie.
how,
It's not
right.
tradition. It's not like our traditional hero. It doesn't have, visually speaking, it looks a little
Mm-hmm.
weird. So
But
understand it.
same time on IMDb, there's a 7.9 rating, which is pretty good for IMDb.
That is
That's
literally
about,
my score is
yeah,
7.9.
exactly. So you're right on par with the
I
audience.
am on touch with the
Man,
people.
you
I got a pulse.
you
I got
represent
a
the
pulse
people.
on the people.
I represent nobody. And I've been trying, I wanted to keep this positive, so all the people are like, oh yeah, look, there's this guy who loves
All
the
right.
movie too. Now I want to try to get
I
a little
gave-
negative,
I
okay?
gave all my positive aspects for it.
Oh, here we go.
Give me the negative. Convince me on why
boy.
I'm so wrong.
Well, there's no way I'm going to convince you. The whole point of this podcast is so I could talk to myself. So I'm gonna just. Oh God, where do I start? So the reason I gave characters so low, the plot so low, is right from the beginning. We're introduced to the boy, and his father suddenly dies. Uncle kills him, and then we're off. And then there's a big time jump from boy to adult, and then we see him slaughtering a bunch of people. So the problem I had with that jump, and I'll get into so much more, but for example, the big reveal later with the mother didn't hit as hard because we saw the mother in one scene, maybe? Her two scenes, because then she was screaming, but turns out she was laughing from the boy's point of view as they're going out of the village. We didn't see enough of them for me to care. And I'll compare this, and the reason I'm comparing this is Gladiator is my second favorite movie of all time behind Lord of the Rings. Gladiator is a perfect revenge movie. It's almost a perfect movie. I'd give it like a 9.9 out of 10. And what Gladiator does, which I understand these are different movies, but just in this aspect, Gladiator does, is you set up the king in Gladiator, has enough of a relationship with Maximus, that when the king dies, it actually hits you a bit, and you're like, wow, this was a good king, and the vengeance sequence means something, and there's so on and so forth. But the big time jump from boy to adult, and then we see him slaughtering people, I felt for the boy, I didn't feel anything for our main character, because our main character is just slaughtering people as well, and then going on, and oh my God, I have so much to say. I'm sorry, I'm rambling everywhere. But first, I also want to say, the whole reason he kind of goes on this journey afterwards when he's slaughtering people in the village is this seer, like that magic person, is in the room and then says this stuff like, oh, you have to fulfill your fate. And so he goes, oh, that's right, my fate, and then goes on this journey to fulfill fate. It's reductionist.
No, that's misrepresentation. She's saying that you abandoned your word, you abandoned your father. And he's like, no, I didn't. And he's combative with her. He's like, oh no, I didn't abandon. Like, I'm still keeping to it, and saying, no, you've forgotten, and you've abandoned your honor.
There's no emotion
and then
behind that, though.
He's yelling at her, and she gives him the opportunity, like, okay, prove it.
Yeah,
and then he goes,
but I felt
okay,
nothing.
I can't.
I felt nothing because we just see him time jump from a boy to an adult, where now he goes into here and sees this mysticism after we just saw a scene of him brutally killing people. And I'm like, okay, well, what's going on here? So his journey into avenging his father, there's the emotion isn't there. Like I was imagining this in the trailer. What got me so hyped is you have the boy in the trailer going, I will avenge you, father. I will save you, mother. I will kill you, Fjolnir. And then it transitions right into him as an adult. I will avenge you, mother. I will say. So it has such a sick sequence there. Just in the trailer alone, I'm like, oh, he's so determined to have this revenge, where in the movie it was a bit disjointed. And small things like this, right? The boy and the father, when his father dies initially, arrows come over and shoot the father in the head, and the boy's just kind of there, and they don't kill him. And they know he's there because they see him run off. And the fact that you wouldn't make sure you kill the boy, it's just such a little plot hole that shows the plot armor in it where I'm like, come on, you could have done better. There's just small things like that shows you there's a lack of care in tying together the plot. Like, really, you shoot perfectly the father with 2-3 arrows. You see the boy right there, and let's say, and they did see him because the uncle then goes, oh, yeah, the boy in the trees he's watching right there, then go kill him. Then you get off on this journey, and I'm not feeling, like I said, I'll repeat this. Alexander Skarsgård is a great actor, and he's epic dude, but he's not written well to where I'm caring about him avenging his father, because I don't even know his father that well. I don't know his mother that well. And he doesn't seem like a good person in one bit, which it's a Viking era thing.
I guess that's the thing is I connected with the character in a different way. Like I wasn't,
in what way?
I didn't connect with the character of like, oh, if I, like, I'm putting myself in shoes, like trying to like, I want him to succeed in this way. Like I didn't connect that way of like putting myself behind the character's eyes and wanting the character to succeed.
Okay.
I was looking at it of like interesting of where it would go. Like, oh my God, this like kind of twisted character, like what is it going to become? And I kind of early on figured of like animal to man journey. And so I wanted to see him like what tames him. Like, is he going to pursue this to his own death, which most likely will, of course. And so I was honestly interested in the story of how he would change. Okay. I wasn't like, he's not a good character.
You were interested in that.
I was interested in that.
I'm going to really be reductionist again, but it's a very typical, like, woman comes into play.
Yeah, great.
And then,
good.
Boom, done. It's like,
that's a classic mythos of, like, the woman tames
if it's
the
done
man.
Well, but this is
I think
it's so disjointed. Well. And, oh, yeah, to you.
Okay, here's the thing. If you were to do a more traditional revenge plot where you empathize with the main character and you want them to succeed and kill the father and everything.
The uncle.
The uncle. And you want him to avenge the father. You would actually spend way more time with the son. Yeah. You would spend more time with them training and seeing them struggle to actually become up. You'd see more of their compassion, their human side, and them struggling with their compassion and their bloodlust.
Hatred, yeah.
And hatred.
Yeah.
That would be your tip. And then you'd focus a lot more on the villain because they would matter. Like, you'd want the villain to die. This ain't that story. Mm-hmm. Like, this is far more of a critique of, like, you look at it and the uncle is not, like, he's not the worst person in this entire story. Everyone's bad. So it's far more of a critique of, like, looking at it going, oh my God, everyone's killing each other over, like, it's never-ending cycle of violence. Like, it's not a story where you're motivated for, like, oh, I want the hero to kill the villain. It's just not it. It's more of just an experience watching this Viking awful person tear through and slowly become tamed through his humanity of, like, family, a woman that he loves. That's the story. It's a different story.
The love it, but even the parts that it's trying to do well, I don't think it does well. The love interest, I'm just like, okay, they're on a boat together and they start falling in love.
Strong man, pretty woman.
Yeah.
There we go. It's all you need.
It's really not
all
interesting
you need,
to
Austin.
Me.
It's all you need.
But when I don't care about the character, why do I care if he falls in love and there's this, he's tamed and whatnot? It just meant nothing because I'm not there for the guy. I'm not there for any character. And I get it. Blood and gore is great. Like, yes, swords and this and that and the cinematography, cool. But what's it come down to? I'm just trying to find a part. Like, I'm trying to see where I can enjoy the movie, and I'm sitting there waiting for the moment to click, and it never did.
Maybe for me, when watching it, it felt so much like a story being told around a campfire, like
a little hearth. And
that's what for me. Like I felt like I was watching like a myth, and with myths, like it's the time jumps and the kind of all this blood violence, and then there's a pretty woman. He gets it. It felt like a myth to me. Like, it wasn't like as much of a standard story, and that's what I was just kind of enchanted by it. That's for me. Like,
okay.
So it's a myth. If to be ultra reductionist, it's a myth about a animal that becomes an actual man and does throw through love and family and conquering a fate. And the standard fate storyline would be like you have the story where a person resists fate and then goes with it and chooses it. You have the story where it does something because fate has willed it and then decides either to deny fate or accept it for their own reasons. This one is more of going along with fate just because he has no control, and then by the end, oh, I do have control. I'm going to choose this for my family. I don't know. That's kind of like these epic tales and myths.
Oh boy, we're just on completely different pages about this story, I guess.
Honestly, really, yeah. Are. I mean, that's the thing is I don't
just different interests.
My
in the
value from it doesn't come from, like, yeah, I wouldn't want to. I don't think the main character's like a hero or anything. I don't think they're a
pause there.
person.
No, pause there. I absolutely love shows. We watch The Boys.
Mm-hmm.
The most interesting character that I keep watching for is Homelander, who is a villain, a terrible person. I'm not rooting for Homelander, but I want him on screen. Game of Thrones, my favorite person, Peter Baelish. He's a plotter. He's the reason Ned Stark dies. He's evil, and I want to see what his next move is. He's interesting. Homelander has this presence to him. It's not even that I'm not rooting for the main character. It's vapid. It's not a hate or a like for him. It's I'm watching this because it's gore on screen. That's the difference. So it's not that I can't watch. It's not I have to have a hero's journey. I have to have this. At least make me, if you want me to hate the guy, make me really hate him. But everyone's like him. Everyone's just a Viking who's killing people. I'm indifferent. I'm just like, okay. So if that's the case at the end, when the uncle and him both die, all right, cool. Do you get my perspective there? In that
I guess you don't have to agree
with
perspective.
It. You don't have to agree with it, but
yeah.
do you see what I'm saying? Where it's not an emotion either direction. It's just a flat line of emotion.
The thing is, like, I did feel emotion.
No,
through
that's fine.
That's the thing.
That's fine,
I felt like the rage that he's coming through of just like, and seeing how wrong the world is, but also how epic and grand it could be. I honestly, the best word for it is enchanted.
I will say I hated the CGI of the family bloodline tree. I did not like that at all. The him going up the line and
fair enough.
That was corny.
Okay, what I will say is I liked just the look in the first time that came up, and it was the look into the heart and the chest opened up. That was cool. That was cool looking.
Oh man, what else about this story? The ending with them both dying, I thought it was all right, but I think I would have liked the movie 10 times more if he died and he didn't kill the uncle. I think that would have been a more impactful message. The ending of the Northman being fate, fate is not sealed. Fate is not permanent. Like you can go on your fate and make the journey and still just in this brutal world of Vikings, right? If the story really wants to stamp the message of just gore and blood and
but that's the thing. It's not. The story is a mythos. Yeah. Like that would portray the story that they're trying to tell.
Well, if it was him that died and not the uncle, I think it would have been more impactful. That yes, he still sacrificed himself going to save his kids and wife that were going on the boat, but he didn't seal the fate of killing the uncle. It would have been more interesting to me.
Oh,
but
I just completely disagree with you on that one.
Okay,
but
did you like that they both died? Would you rather have just one die? You just liked how that ended?
It makes sense for them to both die on that.
Okay.
He's injured. He knows he's probably going to die on it, but he has to do it anyway.
Mm.
And this time it's not just rage. It's some rage, of course.
Is there a particular part? Because since I really hated this movie. So is there a specific point that you're surprised I didn't like a scene or like a part about the movie that you really liked and you're going, Austin, how do you not like this part about the movie?
I thought honestly, I liked the animal stuff with Willem Dafoe. I liked all the fight scenes of it. I thought that was really brutal. I liked the, let's see. I liked all the stuff on, I think one of my favorite was the game he's playing as a slave, and he kills the person who killed his brother.
I did mention that as that being one of the scenes. I was like, I was interested while that was happening. Yeah. I was more interested than other scenes. But I guess that's where the division is. If anyone's going to walk into this movie and you're coming from the perspective of there's blood, gore, and it's kind of not, you're not going to get behind a character. It's not a character-driven story, which, will you agree with that? It's not really character-driven? Or do you disagree?
It's not the
there?
specific character-driven.
Okay.
The point is, honestly, the follies of Viking culture and the story of a man, like a man who's more animalistic, turning from beast to man. And like how a lot of fairy tales, the main character isn't really fleshed out. Like, you're not given too much of a backstory. They're just the fairy tale figure.
Okay.
In that way. Like,
okay, does this movie compare to Gladiator?
action-wise?
No, on the same level of, like, enjoyment, story, anything. I just don't...
Closer than you, definitely.
Closer than I would say, but I put Gladiator on a pedestal to the moon, and this is...
I give this one a 7.9. I give Gladiator somewhere around like a 9.8 or something like that. Like,
yeah.
I like Gladiator a lot.
That's not close, so that's a huge difference.
But you're saying you're going 10 to like 1. So
9.9 to 3, but yes, fair enough.
I still give it a 7.9. Like, I still think it's really good. Like, I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Like, it's kind of like saying, like, does this compare to Blues Brothers? No, of course not.
Because Blues Brothers is a 10 out of 10.
It's the perfect movie.
I don't know how you always swivel that in there every conversation.
I will always stand behind that. I will have... I honestly want to have a movie debate on that, and I can hold up my opinion.
I don't doubt you. But I feel I feel like on the Northman we're missing like one last thing. Yeah, or I guess we're just at a... I didn't like the movie, you liked the movie, and that's it. But
honestly, it makes sense how you did not enjoy Dunkirk now. Like, I think your enjoyment is heavily dependent on character intrigue, like the specific character you want to like. You want to be invested in the specific character,
any character,
one way or the other.
I'm interested in the story of the character and the emotion and the message that comes from that character. A character, I believe, a character drives the message of a story, and the message really hits home if I care about the character.
Thing is, there's artistic works that can do that in different ways.
Well, here's the thing: the Northman, why I really didn't like it is. The message of it, it's that bestiality. Not bestiality. It's being a beast versus your human nature. Would you say? What's the message of the Northman? Could you give me a quick summary?
Beast to man.
Beast to man, right? Which message could be great, right? Message is there. For me, the message doesn't hit home if I care nothing about the journey and the character that got there. Which you cared about the character more, right? That's simply it. But since I had absolutely nothing behind any character whatsoever at any point in any physical realm, mental capacity, anything, when that message is there at the end, I just don't care about it.
All right. I guess that we're at an impasse.
We are at an impasse, and I'm so glad we're disagreeing on stuff because until we did this podcast, Richie and I agreed on a lot of movie takes. And we were a little nervous coming on the podcast, like, man, we're just going to keep agreeing back and forth about movies. Yeah. And our friendship's declining.
Oh, it's plummeting.
We're at a rift, and if we don't have episodes coming out soon, you know why. Because there's some friction.
I really can't wait to talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once.
You're going to break my heart.
Oh, I know.
We're going to talk about, I think it's an episode after Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness comes out, we're going to compare that with Everything Everywhere All at Once. Spoiler alert. Okay, this isn't a spoiler, but spoiler to our podcast and my take. Everything Everywhere All at Once is my third favorite movie of all time. I treasure it forever. Thank you for bringing this to us. That I had such a great cinematic experience. Please don't end it on a bad note. Let's end it positively.
Hey, I really liked it. I thought it was about as good as The Northman.
Oh my god!
That's about, yeah.
I think that about wraps it up for this podcast today. And if there's not another episode up, you guys know why. So.